Oh my, that that turned real quick. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. We're at the halfway point of Snowfall final season. This episode is called Ebony and Ivory. It puts a lot of characters in a lot of precarious positions, and then it takes a hard left, and nothing will be the same after this episode. We start off with Cassandra and V on their very precarious position that can put them in danger. This mission, and the mission we find out is to find Teddy's father and to keep an eye on him till Franklin arrives. While they're on a stakeout trying to find out where he's at, Cassandra just lets V know that you should probably have an exit plan. Just in case this doesn't go well. V's like, we don't need an exit plan, we're gonna be fine. Cassandra sort of starts telling her, like, I know men like Franklin. And it's never going to be enough. Even if he gets the money back, he's going to always want more, 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 more. V's like, I don't want to hear from you about men because your men is trifling. And she's like, well, if anybody knows about bad men, I'd be the one to know. But before they can sort of continue that conversation, they see Teddy's father. And so V makes the call to Franklin and be like, hey, when can you get here? We found him. Teddy's like, bet, I'm going to roll out. I'm going to go see him. But he's with Kane in their new hideout. Kane is telling Franklin, you're not going nowhere until we discuss where Louie and Jerome is. Because this is all on you. You got my baby mama's, my girl's place shot up. And nobody ever knew where I was. So this is on you. I'm going to need you to go ahead and tell me what's what. So Franklin's not going to be able to leave there to go handle what he has to handle with V and Cassandra until he gives him something. He's like, I've given you everything I know about Louie. Kane's like, I'm not going in head first into that casino where they got guns blazing. I need to know something else. Their new Achilles heel. Lo and behold, Franklin hears a rodeo show on TV, and it clicks to him that wait, the horse in the stables. That's the way to get in. So he's able to go do what he has to do. So that snitch cop tells Louie and Jerome that Kane escaped with the help of Franklin. It's like, yo, one thing I'll say about them Saint boys, they're some shooters. And Jerome sort of checks him about being sloppy because he looks like he's on the drugs. And Jerome's like, I don't want you around here if you own that stuff. This episode shows a lot of Jerome just battling back and forth with whether he wants to be in this or not. And then we pick up with Wanda and Lee. Wanda and Lee, poor Wanda. Poor Wanda. She chose the wrong guy again. But Lee is now back fully into this life. And Wanda's like, what you just did was dumb. And Lee's like, well, it had to be done. And at that point, some of the members of the crew, of Dee's crew, comes in and starts just questioning Lee. Like, what are you doing? Like, we don't get it. You're either in or you're out. You dropping bodies one moment, you claiming peace the next. You filling the community with crack the next. You're saying, hey, we should uplift each other. And one of the funniest moments of this entire season, he's like, you left with the crackhead and came back with the wife. I legit fell out of my seat. And Lee and Wanda react, and kind of was like, no disrespect. That's all the disrespect. But it's a funny moment that I don't think this show really ever truly has. So, but it was also a serious moment for Wanda because she flips him off and kind of like, okay. His whole point is, though, if it's not D, and it's not you, the next people that come up are going to be more ruthless and more cutthroat and less morals than D. So either A, you take this back over, or D's going to come in and try to just clean house, or the next young person comes in. So you got to make a decision. Lee makes the wrong decision. Lee goes outside to the project and makes a declaration to say, hey, all y'all punks, all y'all some B's and some P's, and y'all need to get up out here. If y'all want to do something, come get me now. If not, we're going to get back to work next week and we're going to do this the right way. So he sort of plants his flag in the sand as the de facto now leader of this project. And you can just see if you had a heart like the Grinch, if you had the heart for Wanda, you could just see it just sort of crack down the middle. She knows that she is now back in bad way, not really of a decision of her own. She just wanted to stay out in Africa, and this is where she's at now. Uso lets his girl know what was going on, and he's sort of dead to rights between the KGB and the DEA. And he informs her, we got a deal with WIPSEC, and we can put you into witness protection. And she's like, nah, I don't want that. And he's like, well, the other option is why I'm telling you, you take the kids and you start running. You go on a run. She's like, nope, don't want that option either. Here's the option that I want from you. I want you to get us out of this. I want to be just a boring, regular ass wife who does boring things. And I need you to find a way to make that happen. Uso's kind of unsure of how to make that work, but he's going to give it a shot. Teddy lets his CIA handler know that there's a KGB person on to us, and he's made contact with Uso. And now at this point, he's kind of saying that I don't know if Uso is fully invested in this, or like he's fully into the KGB, or what that is. He feels that because of the hit, because of the situation that occurred, that now KGB are sort of at their wits' end, and so now they're trying to make a connection with somebody who's close to Teddy. So that he thinks that this is sort of the first time that Teddy made it, but he's going to keep an eye on it. Doesn't have to wait long, because the very next moment, Uso comes over to Teddy and confesses, like, hey, yo, so I met this KGB dude after I got into a fight with my girl at the bar, and his name was Ruben, and he's the dude in the sketch. And Teddy's like, cool, I appreciate you coming to me. Thank you for coming to me with this information. And Uso's like, you need to move the drugs. And Teddy's like, all good, already done. I've done all of that. We're going to be fine. To which at point, because that's the day that the raid is supposed to occur, Uso called the DEA and like, y'all need to stand down and not do the raid because drugs ain't there. Which in their alphabet soup of letters, the D stands for drugs. So if they can't go in and find that, then there's no point in doing it. So they look devastated and had to kind of go back to the drawing board. Before Franklin leaves to go see Teddy's father, he stops by his mom's to kind of say, I need you on my team. Like, you've been sitting this out. You've been on this Switzerland path. I need you to back me up. To which Sissy's really kind of not listening. She's playing neutral because it's family and all this stuff, but she's like, no, I'm going to sit this one out. And that's sort of what they let bygones be bygones. Wanda comes in the next day, and because of the situation that's happening with Lee, she just has the weight of the world on her shoulders. And so she sees a mom manhandling her kid, and not handling in the way that she would like it to be done. She sort of lets it be known, and then Sissy has to come in and break it up and realize that Wanda's heart was still in the right place. She's just something is bothering her. And then literally the two of them just have a conversation. They're just talking about how much they respect each other. And Wanda kind of bigs up her. She's like, I just love that you're always about your family. You're backing them up no matter what. You're a ride or die. And that sort of gives Sissy that kick in the head, like, crap, I do need to back up, boy. On the flip, Sissy informs Wanda how strong she is and how proud she is and how much respect she has for Wanda and what she's become and what she's doing. So they sort of have another heart-to-heart moment, which lets us know that whenever something bad happens, it's going to probably come through the hands of Wanda. Like as somebody tries to get a hold of Lee, it's probably going to be at the expense of Wanda. Speaking of getting a hold of Lee, D goes to Jerome and Louie and kind of he looks pissed and he sounds pissed. He's like, yo, I need you to back me up. I'm going to get my spot back. I'm going to give Lee the business. And Jerome and Louie are like, we sitting this out. No, this ain't got nothing to do with us. Whoever is there, whoever is running that area, and whoever is giving us business, that's who we got to go with. And this is coming from Louie, and D respectfully says, I'm not talking to you. And then he calls her out her name. Like, bitch, I ain't got nothing. Whatever I'm talking about, I'm talking with Jerome, because that's where his loyalty lies. And she starts to flip off a little bit, but Jerome's like, nah, go sit this one out. I got it. He sends her away, and they just have a heart to heart. And in this, Jerome's like, look, there's a different code that's happening now versus what we have. We're OGs. We're the old school. There's a loyalty. There's a morality code. There's work ethic to it. Whereas these young folks kind of just do whatever the hell they want to do. You and I are on that same page. And D's like, no. You on that page, old man. I'm still about this. So, and he just leaves and kind of just shows that the wild, wild west is kind of happening around Jerome and the way that he would handle things and the respect and decorum that he feels he has to give or he gives in his handling of business is not the way that anybody else operates. And Jerome's sort of he's at his wits' end. He's like, something has to change. He's just done. And he just storms out of the bar, not telling Louis where he's going. And we see him go to his brother's auto shop, his brother Clyde. And it's an interesting dynamic. You can tell that there's a genuine care for each other. When he arrives, Clyde is like, can't do anything about your car today. Come back, leave it, come back, and we'll take care of it. And Jerome flashes some money, and Clyde's like, all right, I got you. And they're reminiscing about basketball and just talking about life and having a genuinely favorable conversation. You can tell that there's a genuine love between the two of them. Clyde clocks that there is a car that keeps pacing the block and kind of clocking Jerome, to which he tells Jerome, and Jerome pops the trunk, pulls out a Uzi. He's about to go handle that until Clyde's like, no, wait, what are you doing? Not here. And you can see that all the people that work at this auto shop are frightened, taken aback, because they're civilians. They're not about this life, and Clyde doesn't want that brought to him. This was clearly Jerome's sort of way of hanging out around the normal folks, the civilians are doing the normal things, but he still has that dog in him because he's been so much in that life, and that life was following him. So he can't fully invest in being the regular guy because the regular guy's life is not where he's been, or all the residual effects are not what's following him. Jerome knows that Clyde is aware of what he does, and kind of is like, you tried to push me away. Like, you didn't want me to be here because you ain't got no cars. Ain't doing no business here. So, and Clyde's like, I just don't want that around here. That was why. But you're still my brother, so we're talking. Jerome doesn't want to cause any problems for him or his work, so he's willing to leave. He does try to give Clyde some money, and Clyde's like, nah, I'm good. I don't need it. He's like, no, you need it more than me. This is his way of saying, like, look, I know the regular life doesn't afford you this money and whatnot. Take it. The least that I can do, I'm doing damage to my community. I'm doing hell work. I can help out my brother, and you need this more than I do. He then throws out his pager so that no one can contact him for a minute. And he's just sitting there on the hood of cars and just drinking 40s. Like, he just wants to be done even if it's for a moment. Just step out of that life for a bit. As I've consistently said, he just doesn't want to be a part of this life. He's wound up here because of the girl that he loves and the nephew/son that he cared for, and one of them no longer is a part of his life. So he's just questioning everything. Teddy breaks into Ruben's place, and it's pretty sterile. There's really nothing there, but he does find some gay porno magazines. So it sort of gives him the heads up that, hey, all right, I got something on him, but I do know that he's gay, and maybe I can use that as a tactic. He lets his handler know, and the handler's like, are you sure this isn't a ploy? He's like, no, I think this is a genuine thing. I think we might have some type of intel to sort of get to him. The next, those are sort of all the side stories to the main story that's kind of happening with Cassandra. He and Cassandra are now trying to keep Teddy's father in place so that Frankie can get there. So they set up this coup at this cancer help rehab facility where they're pretending that V is admitting Cassandra in, and V keeps the processor there away so that Cassandra can kind of go through, and she finds Teddy's father, and they have a heart-to-heart. And in that heart-to-heart, things are said, and she's schmoozing and getting him to soften up a bit. And she says, well, how is it at this place? And he's like, it's terrible. It's like, I'd rather be in war than be here. And she flashes her keys like, my daughter doesn't know I have these, but we can go ahead and get him out of here. She takes him to a remote cabin, and V follows and is just recording the conversation, just getting audio into the place. But they're having a genuine heart-to-heart. Like, he's talking about Teddy and his son that he lost, Teddy's brother that he lost. And Cassandra's sort of mixing truths with what she's telling and talking about V. Like, she's being honest and earnest about how she feels about her daughter, and they're having a genuine heart-to-heart. V goes to get Franklin, and he gets off the plane. He's ready to go see what's going on. As he gets down, because he wasn't in the air, he wasn't getting any connections. His pager's just flying off the handle. So there's a lot happening back home that he's just not being made aware of. but he gets into the house. Teddy's father just thinks that's Cassandra's daughter and son-in-law, which, yes, but he thinks that they're trying to take them back to the facility, and that's all that's going to happen. So this is sort of their day off, or their Ferris Bueller's day off type of situation where they got to kind of play hooky for a day. Franklin goes into the other room and makes a call. He's paging Teddy, and it's with the Kansas City number. So Teddy knows where his father's at, and he knows he's in Kansas City. So I got to answer this call. He answers the call, and it's the first time in this season that we've had Teddy and Franklin interaction. And it is massively different than any Teddy and Franklin conversation that we have. Starts off with Teddy trying to be cordial or friendly with Franklin. Like the normal way that he tries to son Franklin sometimes is like, how's it going, Franklin? Like he's got a very genuine voice to him. Franklin ain't feeling none of that. Franklin tells him, I want my money. Like, give me my money. And Teddy is trying to play a little bit coy with him. Franklin's like, well, I'm here with your dad. And I think you should quickly give me my money. I think you should, the accounts that I have that you took them from, they're still active. Go ahead and put them right back in there. And Teddy's kind of like, it's not that easy. He's kind of trying to fish for things like, he doesn't know what state Franklin is, but he can hear that this isn't the normal Franklin that he usually has been talking to. Where he messes up is that he doesn't know that Franklin is aware that he's not in the CIA. And he uses this phrase that, hey, what do you think your future will look like if you killed the father of a CIA agent? To which Franklin doesn't respond. He just sort of smirks, knowing in his head, like, you ain't CIA, so I can do whatever the hell I want to. Ain't nobody really gonna. Anybody really gonna say this is you're off the books. You don't exist. And then Teddy starts hearing him get up. He's like, you give me my money? I'm gonna ask you one more time. So go ahead and put the money back in there. He's like, it's not that easy. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. He's like, all right, cool. Well, if it's not that easy, then here. And he just goes and he stabs Teddy's father in the neck and kills him. In front of Cassandra and B, mind you. And he just says, send me my money. And then you can hear Teddy trying to talk to his father, who's dying or dead at that point, through the phone. He's like, Dad, are you okay? And then you can see him getting broken up. Franklin says one of the most callous things I've ever heard him say in my life. No, I don't think he can hear you, Teddy. Jesus. And then he sits down and he informs him like, hey, look, this is the first of many. You don't give me my money, I'm going to come after your girl. I'm going to come after your son. And he names him by name. I'm going to come after anybody you love until you make me whole with my money. And then he hangs up. Teddy is broken. He's clearly shaken up. And Uso is there at this moment too. He grabs the phone. He lets him know like Franklin just killed my dad. Teddy's already not there in the head. I don't know where this pushes him. But this is a wild game to sort of have with Franklin. I also don't think Franklin is aware that he is probably just officially pushed V and Cassandra away. V was fully aware of what he did and all the drugs and all that stuff, and probably some of the dirty things that he did, but never actually got to see the monster face to face. And they looked terrified. But to see him take a life and not blink an eye, not think about it, it changes the dynamics a bit. And the conversation that Cassandra was having with me at the very beginning means a lot more now because she's kind of like, well, maybe I should have an exit plan. If not for us as a family, at least for me and my kid, because I don't want my child to be around whatever the hell Franklin is doing. Because it doesn't seem like there's an end game or what's the end stop for him. It's brutal. He then tells him to leave. He's like, get out. And he sets that entire place on fire. So there's no remains or no DNA that can be found. And he gets in his car, doesn't smile, doesn't frown, he looks as calm and peaceful as you possibly can. And he is, while I think obviously for him and for Sissy, the first shot across the bow had been laid when they killed Alton, or when we at least had not seen Alton. This is a shot back, and I don't think Teddy ever really took Franklin serious enough to think that this would ever occur. And now that it has, all bets are off. Like, this is a season that just keeps ratcheting it up and up and up. So when we ever get to that finale, it is going to be heartbreaking and brutal. Teddy is going to be on a mission, but he also can't trust Uso because he doesn't know that Uso's got multiple deals going. Uso's looking out for himself, trying to get his girl all situated. Lee back in the game again. Wanda don't want to be there. Wanda's not going to end this season well. Dee's going to get through to Lee via Wanda. I have a feeling. I just know. Kane, the one respite that Jerome sort of had was giving Louis that horse and the stable and all that stuff. If that is taken away with Kane's people watching that place, oh Jesus, that is Jerome is going to be a mess. All of this is just culminating to this one big and it is intense to watch, making for some fantastic television. This season has made me forget all about the tiger walking through the streets of LA in the last season. We're on for one hell of a finale as this comes into these last few episodes. What did you guys think about this episode called Ebony and Ivory? Leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. It's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.